ABC News reports Congress closer to TikTok ban or forced sale after CEO's concerning testimony. Here to talk about it, it's me, Ralph Foshi, and my brother Bill Foshi. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Check us out on Rumble and follow us on Twitter at me is at RW Foshi. Bill?
I think I'm William Foshi on Twitter. I don't actually know.
Yeah. I have our Twitter handles on the outlay. I thought ahead. Well,
There you go. Thank you.
let's get into this. So, TikTok. It's by and far the largest and most prevalent media app and social media sensation in the US right now and probably around the world.
Let's see what they're reporting a little bit. Scroll down and read. Let's read it.
hmm So, last week's testimony from TikTok CEO Xiaozi Chu, I probably butchered that, increased the likelihood that Congress will take some action on the hugely popular and controversial social media app after his remarks on Capitol Hill failed to allay bipartisan worries over potential data privacy issues and Chinese government uh, intrusion, Representative Mike Gallagher said Sunday.
Okay, so wait, hang on. The first thing that stood out to me there is that, let's be honest, our politicians don't actually care about data privacy at all. That's not the issue here. The two issues that some of them may care about are the fact that it's the CCP spying on American citizens instead of the U.S. government, and the other concerning issue here that I think some politicians might actually care about is the effect that TikTok has on children's health, mental health in particularly. Um, but politicians that are actually care about privacy are few and far between, unfortunately.
I mean, be it as they may, their reasons for pushing against it, I personally feel that it has had a highly detrimental aspect and impact on the
Oh,
youth
yeah,
of
yeah.
America.
I'm totally for banning TikTok, and I don't think the First Amendment argument for protecting TikTok is a good one, and I'll explain why that I don't think so in a little while.
Well, okay, so in my opinion, there's not a good First Amendment argument for it because it's being used by the CCP, by the Chinese Communist Party, as an act of uh, both disruption of American culture and of spying on us. It is a hostile war
Exactly.
implement.
If there's anything that the federal government is allowed to do, it's regulate commerce with other countries and its national security. TikTok is definitely a national security concern, and it's a foreign company. Congress definitely has the ability to regulate it and stop US companies like Apple, Google, banks from doing business with TikTok, which would effectively cut off their access to the American market.
Well, I'd go more than that. It's not that they just have the right to do that; they have the responsibility to do that.
I agree, but I'm just addressing the First Amendment concern.
Yeah,
And
understandable.
the other reason why the First Amendment concern doesn't stand, I think, is there's long-standing precedent that the government has the ability to regulate the content that's intended to be consumed by children. And so Congress can say that in as much as a social media is a child's logged into it, there can be regulations on what children should be able to access. And TikTok is definitely bad for a child's development. It's like a kid wanting to smoke almost. So I think there definitely should be some kind of federal regulation on the availability of apps and social media to children.
Well, I mean, part of the issue with it is by its nature a system that is in control by an adversarial force. Like when you take a look in the mirror and compare side by side America's TikTok and China's TikTok, they're two completely different sites, you know? You see content that is highly detrimental and highly negative of a viewpoint towards America and America's culture gets propped up and published and propagated, whereas a lot of stuff that also you see declining in traditional morals and values here in America. Whereas on China's TikTok, if you ever go look at that, it's a lot of stuff promoting the CCP, promoting China's nationalism, as well as trying to encourage men to get into more economic fields to work out, to be very masculine, and to try to follow more traditional roles. It's by its nature an attack on the culture and the children of America, you know?
Okay, but yes, even if it, the question is if it was an American company doing it, would they have a First Amendment right to do that? And I'm saying no, insofar as they're targeting children.
Yeah,
Content that's intended for children can be regulated.
yeah, and that's already the law. That's the law of the land, which is why you see on YouTube they have different rules whether your content you're producing is specifically made for the viewing of children to view or not, you know?
Yeah. So, like I said, I think we both agree that the First Amendment protection for TikTok is not a strong argument. All right,
No,
let's keep going.
even if they were sold to an American company, it's not a good argument. Uh, they've actually united Republicans and Democrats out of the concern of allowing the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, to control the most dominant media platform in America, he told ABC this week. Co-anchor Martha Raddatz on TikTok, which has almost 150 monthly active American users. That's amazing. Like, that's almost half of the American population. That's insane.
Yeah, I still don't have a TikTok. I'm not going to get one.
I'll be honest, I have one, and it's more because that's where the major discourse is taking place.
Hmm.
And to be honest, I probably won't have much longer. I've been, I think I already have like 3 strikes.
That's funny.
Yeah. Geller, a Wisconsin Republican who chairs the House Select Committee on U.S. competition with China, touted legislation he and his committee's ranking member, Illinois Democrat Raja, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name, co-sponsored to either ban the app or force its sale to an American firm from Chinese parent company BitDance.
So, do you know what this reminds me of? Do
Huh.
you remember the I think it was Huawei or Hanwei?
Uh,
Uh,
the Chinese telemarketing company?
Not telemarketing company. It
Or
was a
not?
telecommunications company.
Yeah, my bad. That's what I meant.
So, what what happened with that company is it was subsidized by the CCP to
Hmm.
be able to outcompete telecommunication companies in countries around the world, like in especially in Europe and in Britain.
Yeah.
And the result was is that a lot of companies, in exchange for having cheap 5G networks, were essentially just going to let the CCP spy on them. And they figured that they could protect the really important stuff by encoding it, but it's just a bad idea. And I think honestly, TikTok is almost worse because half of the country has it on their phones, and it's collecting all the data on all these Americans, and then you can data mine that to do God knows what.
Well, we already know TikTok actively goes into other parts of your phone and uh,
That's what I'm saying.
gathers data. What's keeping it from? Because you do have to give it permission to access your camera, your microphone.
What
Not.
what I'm saying is it's data mining Americans, and it's really risky what the CCP could do with that.
Yeah, it's just a bad idea.
Yep.
So continuing on, Chinese officials have called such proposals overreach and unfair. Of course, the Chinese would say that. How dare you try to stop us spying on you? Like, come on.
I don't care what the
I
CCP
do not give
thinks.
one damn what the CCP says.
Down with the CCP.
Based. Free Hong Kong. um, uh, though China heavily restricts the use of internet in its country and said they would resist a sale, critics of the scrutiny say it hasn't applied to similar social media platforms. Uh, but Gallagher and the Democrat leading member, appearing together on This Week, told Reddit that the risks warranted such moves. Um, and honestly, I may not agree with their specific reasonings for doing it, but hey, if two people have different reasons to coming to the same conclusion, it's probably a good conclusion. Not always, but sometimes. Separately, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy tweeted Sunday that the chamber would be moving forward with legislation on TikTok. Uh, Krishnamurthy pointed to Chu's inability to call out spying by some BitDance employees on American journalists last year, or to acknowledge that there's a genocide going on with regard to the Uyghur people in Xinjiang province in the northeast corner of China. Again, bowing to the pressure from the Chinese Communist Party, he told Reddit. Okay, I would just like to point out here and give major props to ABC News for actually talking about the current genocide happening to the Uyghur Muslims.
Xinjiang, yeah, the Chinese Communist Party has way too much influence in the Western media in general,
Yeah.
both in entertainment and otherwise. Like,
Mm-hmm.
say the NBA will not touch. They come down hard on any player that criticizes the CCP that's
Mm-hmm.
actively engaged in a genocide against the Uyghur people in
I mean,
Xinjiang.
take a look at Disney when they filmed the live action Mulan movie in Xinjiang province. Uh, they actively put out a letter saying how great the security forces were. You know, the security forces that were actively engaged in the concentration camps there.
Well, I don't think it was the security forces they were thanking.
Was it?
They were thanking the like. I could be wrong about this, but I think they were talking about the like the parks, kind of like park ranger kind of things in Xinjiang. Yeah,
You might be
they were
right.
filming it. They were filming it in Xinjiang, where there's an active genocide going on,
Uh-huh.
and the relationship between U.S. media and Chinese is disgusting. Uh, Ted Cruz proposed a bill that I quite like. It would ban any studio that has a relationship with the CCP and lets the CCP do censoring from also contracting with the US government. The result would be that studios would essentially have to choose whether to do business with China or to be able to use US military assets in their film production and parks and such, which
Mm-hmm.
any movie studio is going to have to make the better decision financially, which is to keep its ability to contract with the US
Mm-hmm.
and film in US parks and US military bases.
Yeah, I like the idea of that.
There's no it's not the US government engaging in any censorship of any kind, but they're just saying if you're going to be pushing Chinese communist propaganda, then we're not going to help you.
Why would the U.S. government help you try to push the propaganda of our enemy? Like,
Yep.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, Both he and Gallagher also sounded skeptical of Project Texas, an endeavor TikTok says will keep U.S. data stored in Texas and prevent access by Beijing. But that lawmakers say is insufficient. I mean, of course it's insufficient. It's like, we promise we're not going to get. Like, see this? Pinky promise right here. We definitely won't give your data to China. I mean, come on. Like,
Yeah,
seriously?
I wouldn't believe it either. Of course, I'm very much an anti-CCP. I don't think we should be doing business with these kinds of evil people in general. It's like if back in World War II, this is going to be the law of the internet talking about Hitler, but you wouldn't want American companies in World War II doing business with and helping Nazi Germany and Japan. And that's kind of the same situation we're in here.
Well, I mean, think about it. They were already saying that they weren't spying on American citizens and helping the CCP back in 2020. Because Trump was floating the idea back then, and
Banning
lo
them.
and behold, they were doing exactly what they said. Oh, but this time we're supposed to believe them that they'll keep their promise. Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. Uh, Continuing on, there are whistleblowers coming forward saying that whatever TikTok management is saying about taxes, about Project Texas, is a pack of lies. Uh, Krishnamurthy said, "Well, Gallagher said protections for Americans' data are only part of the larger issue." Um, I don't really like this section here. It's a lot of he said, she said. Uh, Unnamed whistleblowers.
I just there's no reason we should ever trust the CCP
Yeah,
to do what it
but you
or a company owned by the CCP to do what it says
but you
it's going
don't
to do.
need to try to name or not name just random whistleblowers and then as a way to try to justify the reasons behind it, you know?
Hmm.
Uh, the key part that's missing from Project Texas mitigation strategy is control of the algorithm. That's really what we need to address, Gallagher said. It's not just exfiltrating data from American phone, it's what they're able to push to Americans through the algorithm. Agreed.
Well, okay, I think that there's a Trojan horse here. I don't really want the U.S. government controlling the algorithm that's being pushed to of what content Americans consume. This is a Trojan horse.
I don't want the American government controlling the algorithm, but I sure as hell don't want China controlling the
Yeah,
algorithm.
yeah. Uh, in terms of what's made available for children, yes, there can be some government regulation there. There shouldn't be sexual content made available to children
Hmm.
or a lot of harmful and addictive content, which is all what TikTok is.
Oh,
At the
what was
same
that
time,
article that was we were talking about the other day? Uh, how a account that a news organization set up to scan through TikTok, uh, that was set up as like a 14-year-old child's account, was exposed to just hundreds of videos about crack, cocaine, and uh,
yeah.
things of a sexual nature. It's disgusting.
So a child's account, there should be some regulation. But when you're talking about adults, I really don't want the this is a big brother thing. I don't want the federal government controlling what social media is consumed by adults at all.
Hmm. Well, I agree with you 100%, but that's not what Gallagher was saying here, though. His concern was with what China was pushing to Americans.
Yes, but he's suggesting that the U.S. government have control over the algorithm. I think, and I don't like that.
That's not what he says. I agree with you on the point, but I think you might be reading too much into it.
Maybe.
But then again, our government is wanting to control people, so you might be right. I will.
Like this line here, uh, the key point that's missing is control of the algorithm. it sounds to me like he's suggesting that Congress or the U.S. government.
Well, he's saying the key point of Project Texas is the fact that the CCP is still controlling the algorithm.
Okay, but like I said, it just sounds like they're talking about the U.S. government taking control of it, and that's a no-go for me.
Well, this is the issue. Is the only way that this Project Texas of theirs would work with the transfer of the algorithm is because it would have to go to if the company is not sold to an American company, the only possible option to control the algorithm would be the US government, which has its own slew of issues.
So, like, I agree, Project Texas is a no-go.
Yeah.
It really ought to be. If TikTok's going to stay alive in America, it needs to be sold to a U.S. company.
Yeah. One without ties to the CCP, but
Yep.
then again, our own U.S. government doesn't have no ties to the CCP. So,
Yeah, I think that's it for this article. Oh, no, it's not.
No, it's not yet. Chewy's lengthy testimony on Thursday in front of the House Committee on Energy and Commerce sought to satisfy concerns that TikTok would be forced to hand over data on U.S. users if the Chinese government requested it. I think a lot of risks are pointed out are hypothetical and theoretical risks. Chu insisted at one point. I have not seen any evidence. I do not believe this man, as we have already seen them doing such things. And we have seen the CCP back in 2020 order people in other sectors to completely screw over the people in their countries they were working at and send all emergency PPE back to China. Let's not forget this, you know? He also pushed back against worries that TikTok's algorithm could be used to sway public opinion, including with pro-China content and election misinformation.
All, um, all social medias have been trying to sway public opinion.
Yeah,
That's one of the things we learned from the Twitter files. So that's a
Twitter,
that is definitely
Facebook,
a
YouTube.
retarded. It's definitely a retarded argument. Now, U.S. companies are doing the same thing, but that's a problem.
Yeah.
We don't want to add the CCP doing it on top of it.
But lawmakers on the panel were less than impressed with committee chair Kathy McMorris Rogers, R. Washington, telling Chu your platform should be banned based. I think that it has created more concerns, quite frankly. The leading Democrat member told Raditz on Sunday of Thursday's hearing, I don't think that he did TikTok any favors. Raditz pressed Krish on his response to the potential political fallout from TikTok's ban, given its popularity with younger people. I think that good policy. Yeah, the. You mean people that don't understand anything of importance and are just upset that because their favorite app on their phone is getting banned is upset. Like, it's dumb. I think that good policy makes good politics, he said. And in this particular case, we have to recognize that while TikTok is another social media app, and we have a generalized concern about these social media apps, it's different in any kind of it's different in kind from any other social media app because its parent company is beholden to the CCP, Chinese Communist Party. Beyond TikTok, Raditz also asked Gallagher and Krish, who sit on the House Intelligence Committee about strikes on U.S. bases in Syria last week, which killed an American contractor and wounded several others, including service members and contractors. This looks to be something completely unrelated to TikTok, talking about missile strikes in Syria.
Yeah. That sounds like a topic for another day.
Indeed. But
so
At the very least, I say we're, in general, we're pretty unanimous on this. Ban TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok is definitely something that needs to be done away with. If your kid asks to get on TikTok, you should react the same way you'd react to your kid asking for alcohol or a cigarette. It's bad for them.
Yeah. You know, as there's parents that give their kids alcohol and cigarette, but those are bad parents. So, hey,
remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Feed the algorithm.
and ring that notification bell, share with your friends. And you know what? In general, do what the Zuck does. Mark Zuckerberg keeps his kids off of social media. Well, till next time. Bye bye.